Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Silver the Hedgehog here, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Sonic X Shadow Generations, while we're still playing through the remastered version of Sonic Generations for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, PC Steam, and finally, of course, the Nintendo Switch. So, last time, we essentially did manage able to explore into not one, but 3 stages from the Dreamcast era, which is by the forms of Speed Highway from Sonic Adventure 1, City Escape from Sonic Adventure 2, and Seaside Hill from Sonic Heroes, and finally though, the honorable mentions for the sake of the forms of that specific previous video, is that we did somehow manage to kick Shadow's butt in Shadow the Hedgehog as a rival battle, which does manage to take place in Final Rush from Sonic Adventure 2, so it makes sense for that regard. So yeah, today for this video is that we're going to be continuing things on throughout the forms of the Dreamcast era, and this time we're going to be participating in 4 the challenge acts. So to begin with, let's go and do several challenge acts for Classic Sonic first of all, for the sake of the forms of Speed Highway. So either way, so let's get this thing to it in High Speed Challenge 2. So, and kind of think about it though, that the last time we've able to actually experience these challenges like this was back in, I would say, since Green Hill Zone, basically. So either way though, yeah, nothing else I can really say about it. Well, apart from the fact that for one noticeable thing in mind, about the fact that there was that specific music track that usually, for those of you probably wondering, that one of the music tracks will be replaced for the remastered version, or to be more accurate though, from the original version to the remastered version of Sonic Generations, and I'll explain more about that if we somehow come across into that particular music unlockable as soon as we're able to actually complete one of the challenges, or to be more specifically though, if we somehow keep on collecting some more red star rings in the process. So anyway, so yeah, a few things I want to talk about is about the fact that, well, today's date, of course, there is the 8th of January today, in some cases in 2025 today. So, well, it looks like we've only got about approximately 8 more days left now until Donkey Kong Country Returns HD was expected to be releasing for the Nintendo Switch, and like I said this before, since in yesterday, I don't think it's possible we can able to do the 3DS version right now in terms of Let's Play, and in fact, no matter what though, the 3DS version of Donkey Kong Country Returns Let's Play has officially been cancelled due to the forms of complications involved, and not to mention though, since that the HD version was now a thing for the Nintendo Switch, so I think that might be a best option for us to able to actually tackle through the HD version of Donkey Kong Country Returns at some point. Well, not now anyway though, just because like what Maxi has already said about this before, ever since in the final video for 2024, that so much so we're only going to be focusing on 2 games at a time instead of 3, so but I digress. So yeah, here we go on to the next challenge right here, which involves around we need to find 11 Chao before we're able to end off the level. So, but here's the thing though, we need to catch, you know, more than just 11 Chao before Cream decides to able to actually just, well, beat us to it. So, relatively a harmless challenge, especially concerning for the fact that, again, there are multiple pathways you can able to take, and so much so for the fact that, well, generally speaking, it's about the fact that there's another thing I want to classify for noticing this from the get-go, is that basically though is about the fact that, like I said before, that the drop dash is always with you at all times, in terms of not only for several stages, unless if you really want to deactivate it on the actual skills list, but it's also about the fact that, well, you can't use other skills in each challenge act, just to ensure for the fact that, well, hard for me to say honestly, because I already know for the fact it has been about a couple of hours since I actually have last played this game for sure, because recently though, I've decided able to actually come back on playing not only Super Mario Party Jamboree on my spare own time, but as well as from that, I also did manage to able to continue playing through Mario Luigi Brothership for the time being, just before, you know, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is almost around the corner. And maybe we also see some other surprises here now as well. throughout the course of the entire month of January, to be more specifically though. I mean, mind you, there's nothing else to it, unfortunately. And maybe we can able to actually hear more about the forms of Nintendo Music app, and on top of all that stuff though, maybe we might also still see some plenty of surprises coming up for the likes of the Nintendo Switch online subscription services. In terms of the forms of certain games they'll be added in, not just by the forms of the standard Nintendo Switch online subscription services, but it's also with the forms of expansion pack as well. So we shall wait and see what happens in due time, especially concerning for the fact that, well, obviously though there's nothing else to it in terms of the forms of what's going to come up next. And so much so for the fact that, if I can recall correctly, we've only got about exactly 1 month left until the investors meeting for the sake of the Nintendo Switch sales numbers is about to get updated. So generally speaking though, I'm very curious to know of what the actual sales numbers were able to actually bring us into for most recent games at the time, which appears to be, of course, like I mentioned this earlier, Super Mario Party Jamboree. Now, I really don't know about the forms of Mario Luigi Brothership, unfortunately, mainly because, for I've heard anyway, that that game does not sell very well at first glance, which I was like, okay, that was very unexpected, but maybe we'll find out more about it, probably at some point until next month in particular, and maybe some updated sales numbers for already existing games during that time, which appears to be, well, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and on top of all that stuff though, with Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door Switch Remake, as well as the forms of maybe Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, I'm not entirely sure about that, and maybe with the forms of the original Super Mario Party Fall 2018 games release-wise, and also say applies with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I can assure to you about the fact that, well, until when the next investors meeting is going to be on its way, that I still classify the same for the fact that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will be still on top, especially because, you know, DLC is now a thing, and in addition to that though, some more bundles thanks to the forms of Black Friday sales back in during the forms of last year in 2024. So then again though, we'll have to wait and see what happens until the investors meeting will be applied for the sake of the forms of sometime in February, and usually despite the fact that it might as well say you know, the date was been last shown from the likes of ever since in by the end of December, or to be more accurate though, by the end of the entire year of 2024. So, I mean, sure, no matter what though is about the fact that at this point in time, that the actual sales numbers were about to go down slightly, in terms of the forms of the Nintendo Switch sales numbers, but then again, we'll have to wait and find out during at some point until next month, you know? Especially concerning for the fact at this point in time that I believe we actually on to, let's just say, quite a few days left until we're about to be approaching onto the second month in 2025. So, yeah, it doesn't take that long, doesn't it? Especially concerning for the fact it's a good thing too that I did manage to start playing through some more RPG stuff for the time being, ranging from the original Paper Mario, and as well as that, the GameCube version of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, and in addition to that though, among all others as well, like Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, despite the fact that I'm still so close to able to actually win certain battles, despite the fact that the end game is gonna get extremely difficult, especially concerning for the fact that my strategy doesn't seem to work out very well. So, but either way though, but regardless of everything else though, it's about the fact I still managed to able to enjoy the game regardless of the forms of nerve-wracking difficulty at the end. So, but anyways though. So as you can tell, we're now on to the next doppelganger race for Classic Sonic in particular. And so much to the point about the fact I was expecting to try to do a awesome little speedrun tactic right there. But unfortunately though, my skill issue has been addressed at one point for certain situations. So, and I'm sure enough though is about the fact that as soon as we get into the forms of the third era, which appears to be the modern era, that my goodness, we have to deal with the forms of a lot of tricky stuff here and there. Even especially noticeable about the fact that if I was trying to go after, not only for the sake of the forms of those remaining red star rings in particular, but as well as the forms of, you know, any other channel for that matter. So, although, despite the fact that we've already accidentally come across into one of them in City Escape Act 1, but that's just mainly because, as far as I'm aware, though, I was usually able to go onto safe spots, but then I found out about the fact I accidentally obtained one of these channels, which I was expecting to able to try to save those for later, but actually, as it turns out, it's just about the fact that this is only just the beginning. In terms of the chow hunting, unless if you really want to go out of your way to able to actually go for a 400% completion run through of the remastered version of Sonic Generations, well, to be more accurate though, on PC Steam, alongside with the PlayStation systems with PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and even Xbox systems with Xbox One or Xbox Series X/S, for achievements/trophies, then by all means you can able to do that. And as for me though, similar to the forms of how it does it in Sonic Colors Ultimate back during the forms of in 2021, basically though it's about the fact I just love to try to able to accomplish 100% completion with those specific aspects. Apart from the X-Shuttle, just because you probably get the idea, you're able to play for the exact same levels all over again, but you're able to actually go for these levels in a chronological order from Tropical Resort all the way up to Terminal Velocity in Act 2. So, anyway, so that pretty much does it for Act 1. Challenge acts in terms of Speed Highway as Classic Sonic, and now we're going to be doing the Act 2 challenge acts for Speed Highway as Modern Sonic. And as you can tell, the next challenge we're going to be participating in for is to able to try to find Espio, but to do that though, you need to keep on homing attack into one of those spotlights, and then as you so much so, then as soon as you're able to try to find him with the actual searchlight or the spotlight for that matter, basically though you can able to progress, assuming if you need to find him first, because otherwise though he's onto camouflage mode for right now. So yeah, it's definitely kind of a tricky mission though, especially if you really want to go after the S rank though. You need to be super fast at it, and not to mention though is about the fact that sometimes the actual random factor decides to come into play in terms of Espio's placement, because chances are though, as you can tell, that I keep on wandering around like nothing else if I was trying to find Espio, but usually relatively speaking, it takes some bit of time to able to like utilize the forms of the searchlights, and you also have to be very careful of his ninja stars as projectiles they just decide able to throw at you. So, but yeah, apart from those side things though, it's not too shabby for the most part. I mean, it's definitely a little bit trickier to achieve the S rank as far as I'm aware, because I'm pretty sure about the fact that my time is running low to able to actually achieve the S rank though. But unless if I was trying to able to achieve that on my spare own time, for the sake of the forms of this entire completion run through, but so much so, I think there goes the S rank right there. I think the trickiest part about this mission to me though, when it comes to getting the S rank for that particular method, is the ending section where you have to use the little temporarily platforms, and then as soon as you're able to step one of them, that it just somehow managed able to spin. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and grab this next music note here to get our yet another music. So either way, everything else checks out there, and let's go ahead and select the different music for the next mission, at least as far as I'm usually concerned with. Nah, I might as well skip that for now, because aside from all that stuff though, I will try to save that up for the sake of the forms of later on, like it doesn't matter from Sonic Adventure for one of those different missions coming up. So anyways, let's get on to this next mission right here, where I get the feeling we're gonna have to do a lot of emphasis on stomping the several box crates. So, but usually, as soon as you're able to actually running down the building, you do realize we're now onto the 2D perspective. So, although some people might seem to say about the fact that when it comes to the forms of classic Sonic it seems, that they can't help but notice about the fact that with modern Sonic's 2D sections, while sporadic, although it came out as a bit redundant, although that particular issue will become a little bit more current whenever we get around on, you know, playing for the 3DS version of Sonic Generations at some point in the future. But that again, no, not now anyway though, just because like I said, we are tackling 2 games at a time for right now. And it seems kind of funny about the fact that we're actually going to be tackling through 2 Sonic games and also technically 1 Mario game at the same time, just because, well, obviously though we are experiencing Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is basically just the most recent Sonic remastered game for the time being, unless if there are some, you know, rumors and leaks keeps on and on about the forms of potentially Sonic Heroes remake, which, if that's possible, then I'm up for it, especially concerning for the fact that we haven't exactly seen team-based gameplay formula in a platforming game for a very long time, since the original version of Sonic Heroes for that matter, so... And it's also worth noting for this point as well, about the fact that no matter what though, is about the fact that one of those 2 games in particular, both Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic Rush, that both of those games in particular is going to be celebrating the 20th anniversary for this year, for 2025. So, I'm also able to say this, I'm also able to actually prefer celebrating the 20th anniversary of Sonic Rush for the Nintendo DS, just because that game is actually quite a lot of fun, while looking back on it though. Well, that particular topic can't wait though, and during at some point until sometime in November. So, anyway, it is also worth noting for this point as well, there's another set of speculations is about to be coming up. In terms of the forms of newer films is expected to be coming up at some point in the future, but I highly doubt it though, just because it did say question mark. That some people did say that Kung Fu Panda 5 might able to actually make it happen, and I was like, not entirely sure on that one, especially concerning for the fact that, well, at this point in time, it's about the fact that we actually got ourselves some more confirmed stuff as far as at this point in time. Like, for instance, though, it's about the fact that, well, the Wild Robot is going to return back into the theater screens, to be more specifically in America, so yeah, that's pretty much something. And on top of all that stuff though, those are 2 programs in particular, which appears to be Winx Club and Totally Spies, are both going to be returning at some point in this year for 2025, so yeah, that seems kind of out of nowhere. And in addition to that though, is about the fact that it may look like that, it seems kind of unfortunate about the fact that another one of those shows in particular has been removed from Max service, and that's what it appears to be, the fact that Teen Titans, the original series, has been removed from the Max service streaming services. So yeah, it's kind of strange, and it's also very sad at the same time, because as far as I'm aware, I've never actually watched any of those Cartoon Network shows, apart from obviously the original series of the Powerpuff Girls, but that's just mainly because I obviously do care for those 3 amazing trio of superhero girls, or to be more specifically though, the Powerpuff Girls. Well, like I said before, it's about the fact I still prefer the original series over the likes of this god-awful rebooted version since 2016. In fact, it's actually way more unbelievable than I was thought about something, that until next year in 2026, I'm also able to actually say this right about now, that once we make our way to 2026, I'm also able to say unhappy 10th anniversary of the rebooted version of the Powerpuff Girls in 2016, which that particular topic can't wait though as well, just because we're still in 2025 of course, so... But anyway, so here we go on to this pretty fun mission, I have to say, for this point, and that's what appears to be Overdrift. And basically, though, is about the fact that I believe we have to find a switch at some point throughout this entire section of this mission. And then every once in a while, though, there's going to be a lot of rings to collect until you're able to actually increase your boost gauge. And so much so, if we somehow found the switch somewhere, usually around here, and that way we have to go back and try to find the gold ring in the process. So... yeah, kind of a cool mission to able to experience with this though, especially concerning for the fact that it does encourage you to do a lot of drifting in this part, especially it's almost like exhilarating at the same time. So either way though, pretty fun mission, but nothing even compared to the forms of how it does it for that. I will admit though right away, there was that one mission in Speed Highway in particular that I absolutely despise the most, and that's what it appears to be somewhere right here. You know, with that particular ring symbol, as you can tell, this what appears to be Hot Pursuit. To be more specifically, the Act 2 variation of that particular mission for one of the challenge acts in Speed Highway, because I already know for the fact that there is another one of those hot pursuits for the likes of the forms of one of those challenge acts, but usually it involves around you're able to try to make your way to the end. In here though, you have to collect a certain amount of rings, to be more specifically though 100 rings to be exact. And here's the thing though, we need to avoid a lot of bombs, and yeah, this mission is very similar to the forms of how it does it in chemical plant level, except the fact that everything else in this mission is total chaos. And so much so for the fact that, well, luckily you don't lose all of your rings, but I'm pretty sure you might lose half of your rings. So yeah, if you thought to yourself about the fact that if Mario Party 9 as well as Mario Party 10, that losing half of your mini-stars was bad enough as it is, at least in some boards, well, prepare yourselves with the forms of the most punishing mission if you're trying to able to go for the best rank in that particular run, and that's what appears to be the S rank, of course. Well, luckily though, we're doing not too shabby for the most part. I mean, every once in a while though is about the fact that several missions these days can go by a lot more lengthier as far as I'm aware. But usually, relatively speaking, though, because sometimes it actually requires me to do a lot of concentration here and there. But there was quite a lot of missions that I also despised the most. Well, again, at least it wasn't until whenever we get onto the third and the final era in terms of Sonic Generations, it doesn't matter if it's either the original version or the remastered version these days. So. But there we go, we somehow complete Hot Pursuit. I'm very surprised it only took me about one attempt to able to actually complete this mission, because I don't know about you, whenever I managed able to play this mission on the Switch version, it honestly did took me about 10 attempts, mainly because of this unexpected luck-based element, which appears to be the bomb placement. But apart from those aside things though, it's actually not too shabby right there. So there we go. So we've basically done some aspects in terms of Speed Highway for now, and then we'll be back for that eventually, so don't you worry. So now let's move on to the City Escape challenge acts, and we'll switch over to Classic Sonic to do some more challenges. So here we go on to another one of those cool challenges, and that's what appears to be the Thunder Shield challenge, where basically though, if you're familiar with that particular elemental shield, basically it allows you to not only attract certain rings, but also you can perform a double jump. And unfortunately though, I somehow ignored that particular shield box item, but that's mainly because I was so hesitating for doing speed runs and all that stuff, which I highly doubt for the sake of the forms of later missions coming up though, just because, well, I can't help it for myself about the fact that how fun this game can be is nowadays, especially concerning for the fact that, well, Sonic Generations, you know, it still is one of the best Sonic games for a very long time, and, you know, we are totally appreciated about the fact that that game has now been released on any other platforms, including with the forms of, you know, Nintendo Switch. So, relatively speaking, though, is about the fact that it looks like the Wii U doesn't stand a chance when it comes to likely bringing ourselves Sonic Generations on the Wii U now, just because, you know, the Wii U was a miserable flop. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Wii U still is a pretty good system, but it's not the best-selling game console, I must admit, though, right away, mainly because of the marketing and the commercials didn't go too well enough as far as anything else goes with it. So, yeah, you get the idea what I was expecting to mention about that. So, anyway, so that pretty much does it for the Thunder Shield challenge. So, pretty awesome indeed. And now we can able to potentially try to buy that in the skill shop. So, yeah, we'll try to do that maybe once we're done with any other challenges for the Dreamcast era first. So, just to get these out of the way before we hit on to the, you know, the more progression for Sonic Generations remastered version. So, anyways though, so let's go ahead and change the music quickly to, we'll classify as saying this music right here, and I believe for this particular challenge right here, is that we have to ride on a skateboard at all costs, so, you know, just like what we did on the actual level in City Escape. So, yeah, seems like a yet another cool challenge to able to tackle through. So, anyways though, oh yeah, there's also another thing else that's worth noting for, actually, is about the fact that it may look like that Moana 2 will officially hit $1 billion in the first 2 days or anything else like that for becoming the third highest grossing movie in 2024, behind with the falls of not only Deadpool and Wolverine, but also with Inside Out 2, so it may look like that. Well, it seems kind of insufficient about the fact that Disney is pretty much dominating and printing money on the box office yet again. So, yeah, I guess that's something. Well, I still classify for saying about the fact that Inside Out 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine, to me though, are the coolest films ever. In terms of 2024, alongside with Sonic the Hedgehog 3 as well, which you probably get the idea about that, alongside with the films with Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, which I'm sure that most people agree with me on this point, especially that unlike its, well, Mufasa the Lion King, that I still refuse to see that, but that's just mainly because I'm basically purely done with those live-action Disney movies up to this point, because not only because it's getting a little bit repetitive, but it's also getting a lot more stale as far as anything else is usually concerned with that stuff. And it's even bad enough that we've only got about 2 more months left until the most controversial release of Snow White. Well, despite the fact that it no longer says Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, because that's what the main selling point as far as that film itself is considered for, back in 1937, or technically 1994, for the VHS release or something. Well, I keep on thinking about the UK version for some reason, because I already know for the fact that, well, generally speaking though actually, is about the fact that, did you guys know that until likely or so for the next couple of weeks ahead, they may look like that it's going to be a 30th anniversary of the release of The Lion King on VHS release, which at the time though, back in 1995, it was a pretty huge seller, at least on the VHS, or to be more specifically, video cassettes. You know, you get the idea. You get yourself a black brick tape, and as a result, you can able to fast forward or rewind by simply trying to able to fiddle around with the controls or something. Well, mind you, it's been a very long time since I actually known about something related to the VHS players, because every nowadays we're now on to DVD, Blu-ray, and even nowadays with UHD, Blu-ray for the sake of time. So, yeah, you get the idea about that. Although, truth be told, that Sonic did somehow tell me this, about the fact that during a long time ago, along with Piglet as well, basically though, we actually come across into quite a lot of VHS tapes in the past, ranging from, let's just say, the majority of the Disney films that we obviously do adore, like Aladdin, The Lion King, Hercules, and what else is there that Sonic did told me this? Oh yeah, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and Pinocchio, Dumbo, and also Lady and the Tramp as well, and Oliver and Company, and in addition to the Aristocats or something, and there's also with additional VHSs as well, like Toy Story and Toy Story 2. My goodness, that was a really best choice right there. In terms of VHS owners, as far as I'm aware, and also several of DreamWorks movies as well, like let's just say Ants, for instance. I think that's as far as I can try and think about, because generally speaking, I was just about the fact that also around that time, jeez, why the heck do I somehow keep on getting hit by these spikes? Oh no, do I have to put up the Fonzo Live depth perception right there? Oh, okay, that didn't take me quite a few tries, but hey, at least I did somehow pull this off at the very least, so how's that for that? Alright, so now we need to deal with the doppelganger race, and suffice to say, that would be about it in terms of the forms of these challenge acts for City Escape Act 1. So, anyway, so I believe the music track we somehow got, which is, I would say Route 99 or something like that. Yeah, it's Route 99, from the likes of Sonic Advance 3. So, yeah, it seems to be more specific than that. It's about the fact that we was able to come across into several music tracks based off from the original version, with only one exception, and that music in questioning was, there's the actual music track based off from Sonic Rush, which appears to be right there, right on, from the likes of the stage, which appears to be Leaf Storm. Well, apparently that particular track has been replaced on the remastered version into Wistopolis from Shadow the Hedgehog, which you'll see why if we somehow manage able to come across into that particular music unlockable if we get onto the forms of the next couple of challenge acts in between. So, although sure enough though, it can take a bit while to able to try to complete these things sometimes, just because, you know, eventually at some point about the fact that trying to complete several of those challenge acts, as far as I'm aware, can take even a little bit longer, although it wasn't until whenever we get around on tackling through Shadow Generations at some point, once we able to fully complete it, Sonic Generations first, in terms of the forms of this recent remastered version or something. So but I digress. So let's go onto this little grind rails, trying to keep on doing really good timing jumps with this jump ramp, even though I could have normally tried to do that on the actual level. And it seems to be, more specifically, we're actually doing pretty alright. I mean, sure, it might not be the best run that I somehow experienced, but still, it is getting there. We are definitely getting there for sure. So anyway, so let's keep on going up. And, oh no! Oh, I overshoot it! Ah, oh, dang it. But that's okay, because we got a checkpoint from earlier, so again, with the overpowered spin dash that I loved able to try to utilize with, especially concerning to try to pull off some nice little nifty shortcuts, but sometimes though, my hesitation was just not great to me though. But anyways, let's go and end off the level, so much so, and there we go. Even though, despite the fact that we only did die once in that particular doppelganger race. But that's okay, because every time you activate the checkpoints, despite the timer, it just keeps on going. But at least luckily, though, you do have infinite amount of lives, so that's always something. Okay, so that pretty much does it for Act 1 challenge acts for City Escape, and so much so, dang it, that blue music note just somehow got away in time. But hey, at least we somehow caught it, so there we go. So, suffice to say for this point, folks, is that we get endings up at this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Sonic X Shadow Generations, while we're still playing through Sonic Generations as a remastered version of the game. Instead, we're about to be going into the challenge acts as Modern Sonic in Act 2 in City Escape, and eventually Seaside Hill, and also tackle for the next main boss. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.